welcome to episode 54 of Shane Talks. Did you hear that new intro? Did you hear that music? Did you see all the video and everything like that? Oh man, a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, I had told you I'd been working on something and I was trying to come up with an intro for the show. It's been something I've wanted for, most of the year. I've just been too lazy to actually get the editing together to do it. So finally made time to edit that intro together. I was happy with it. Showed it to some other people. They all thought it looked good, but it still was missing something. Just, having that nice little video intro wasn't good enough. I needed music for it. Reached out to a buddy of mine named Tony, and Tony was like, I think there's somebody better for this job. And so he pointed me in the direction of an old friend of mine named Micah Scott Winters. Micah is amazing. He turned out that bit of music that I used in that opening within one day. And literally he sent it to me. I listened to it about 15 times in a row because I fell in love with it. I thought it was perfect. He told me he wanted to do some more passes at it. And I told him, you can, but I'm going to start using what you've already sent me because I think it's amazing. I think it's perfect. I really love the projector sound and the 8-bit quality sound to it and just how it all comes together. So we now have a Shane Talks intro for every episode of the podcast moving forward, and I couldn't be any happier. This week, I'm joined, as always, by Jason L. Mayer, who is like the Superman to my Batman, which is like a terrible analogy since I don't really like the DC movies anyway, so that doesn't really even make sense. But we are welcoming back Troy Myers. A comic book reference that Troy probably does not know or care about.
I know that Superman has superpowers and that Batman's just wealthy.
Pretty much. Yep. So, do you have any idea who Darkseid is?
No.
No? Okay.
If it's like racial, though, I don't want to know. If it's like I'm cool, like it's fine.
Well, welcome back, Troy. It's a pleasure to have you here. We enjoy our chances that we get to talk to you. You and I had been texting this week. We knew we wanted to have you on. We didn't really have a topic to talk about with you yet. So you and I made some jokes back and forth that one of them just happened to involve John Hughes. And Jason and I had literally a day or two earlier, thrown out the idea of doing a John Hughes episode. So I kind of felt like that was, the culmination of the fact that I talked about John Hughes with both of you. That's what we should talk about this week. So,
you forget about me.
Oh God.
The Wayne Newton version.
The first thing that first of all, what are you guys drinking tonight? I'll go first. I'm still on my really lame non-alcoholic beer drinking binge that I've been on indefinitely. But I found out that my favorite brewery, like my number one or two brewery, in the United States, it's called Untitled Art. And I didn't realize that they make non-alcoholic beers, and it's getting washed out pretty badly. But Untitled Art now makes non-alcoholic beers. This is their watermelon sour, watermelon goza. And like most NA beers, it kind of sucks. So it's kind of watermelon-y, but it's not sour at all. It's blah. It's better than the other two NAs that I've drank, though. So this is at least the number one ranking NA at the moment. Jason is rocking on some Steak and Shake tonight, which I'm assuming is what you had for dinner.
Nope, I just wanted to treat my son to a special thing tonight. So
awesome.
I went and picked him up from Scouts, and then we rolled through Steak and Shake and got some shakes. So
what kind of shake you get?
I got a Snickers shake.
Ooh, okay. I haven't had that one. Taxman Troy, what are you drinking on tonight?
I'm drinking a margarita style spinoff from Taxman Brewery.
That sounds delicious.
It is sour. It is alcoholic.
Is that one of your high? That's like a 10% one, right, or something, right?
No, all our spinoffs are only 5%. They're a kettle sour, so they're just made over a day. They're not like barrel aged or anything like that. They're just really light, easy to drink. Like basically all I can handle at this point.
After running a marathon, I would imagine that it's tough to put down some beer.
Troy's got all his marathon medals behind him.
It's tough to do anything right now, Jason.
And for I'll tell our listeners that Troy, before we started, told me that he is a little under the weather because of most likely the marathon that he ran last weekend, and his body is still trying to recover. So if he sounds groggy or gravelly, it's just getting over that. But the other thing I do want to talk about, Troy, dude, and I'm going to put up a picture of it right now because I thought it was one of the coolest things ever. For Halloween, you and your daughter both dressed as Cruella.
Yes.
Where did that come from? The picture is awesome. I'm putting it up now. What made you guys decide to do that?
First off, I've got one little piece of advice, and that is no matter how good of a runner you are, never sign up for a marathon 2 weeks before said marathon because you are not that good of a runner. That's a hard lesson that I'm learning.
Wait. So I also want to point out that with you doing that, it totally reminds me of the Barney episode from How I Met Your Mother.
Your mother? Yep.
So
is there...
He runs the marathon without training for it, and then his legs just will not recover. Like he gets stuck on the subway.
Yeah.
I feel like I trained a little bit more than Barney, but not too much.
Well, I mean, like while we're talking about marathons, I'll throw this out also. On Halloween Day, I did my first ever 5K. It was a Halloween themed 5K. It was a virtual Halloween themed 5K. I had 2 weeks starting on Halloween Day to complete it and upload my results and stuff like that. So I did it on Halloween morning. It was like a run from Michael Myers thing. I had a terrible time because I did not train either because I just thought, it's 3 laps around my neighborhood. Like, how hard can that be? So I jogged a little bit and I walked 95% of the rest of it. But yeah, so I definitely, I'm going to do the Christmas one because it's a Charlie Brown Peanuts themed one for Christmas. And I might actually start, walking my neighborhood a little more often than I did before this one.
Yeah, man. Get out there and do it.
So there's marathon talk. Let's get back. What was the Cruella decision? Because dude, that picture is hilarious. You look really good, like strikingly sexually attractive as a Cruella.
I mean, it's the stubble for me, dog, that sells it. But I have that white fur coat. I like to work it in every Halloween if I can.
Oh, okay.
This year, Maple came to me and she was like, "Can I wear that to be Cruella?" And I was like, "Sure, that's great. I'll pass it along, generational." It was like a beautiful moment, like family style. And then she decided that she had found a costume where she wanted to be the younger version of Cruella. And she was just like, "Why don't you go as Cruella?" And I was like, "Why don't I?" And so, we went as dueling Cruellas, and
nice.
It's pretty great.
Dude, that's awesome. Nah, I saw that picture and I knew I wanted to bring it up because it was so great. Cool. Well, like I said, we wanted to talk about John Hughes this week. We are going to go into the fictional city of Shermer, Illinois. It was used in 8 different John Hughes films, which, I mean, I think he has like 78 writing credits or something. So it's not like it was in every John Hughes movie. But a lot of the big ones that are important, it's in 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Reach the Rock, National Lampoon's Vacation, and Home Alone. All used the city of Shermer, Illinois in them. Even though a lot of times, as I was doing research for the episode this week, they usually just say Chicago as a broad generalization for where these movies take place. Like, not many of them mention that they actually are in Shermer, Illinois. Like in the description of like the plot description and stuff like that.
It always reminds me when I lived in Quincy and I always said I lived in Boston because it just was so much easier because trying to explain where Quincy is
for sure. So we'll get to talking about all 8 of those movies throughout the course of this episode. 8 apparently is a magic number for John Hughes because he also only directed 8 films. All 8 of them he wrote. So we put up a poll on our Shane Talks Facebook group asking people what their favorite John Hughes directing project was. So we're going to go down them in the order of votes getting. We had 2 of them that got 0 votes, which is kind of understandable when we get to them. But Ferris Bueller's Day Off took the number 1 spot. Which
should.
Yeah, you think so? Troy, since you're not a part of the group, is that what your vote would have been for?
I can't think of all 8 of them right off the top of my head, but I believe probably Ferris Bueller. It is probably the least problematic. Like,
okay.
And it is the only one that I find like actually holds up as an adult.
Okay. That's an interesting way to look at that.
Oh yeah, no, I've got lots of problems coming up. So
okay, all
we'll
right.
Get to them when we get to them. But I like starting off with Ferris Bueller because that's a good positive note to start out on.
For sure, I agree. What were you gonna say, Jason?
I just saw a thing recently that said that could this have been the first time loop movie? Because Ferris does everything just right so that he never gets caught. And
oh my God.
Fan theory that's kind of fun and exciting to think about from that perspective. So they were, and, you know, it isn't, but if you think about it for just even a split second, you're like, wow, because like he keeps showing up at the right time and he says the right thing to get the one thing that he wants from and so yeah.
I've never heard that. I actually really love it. I want to go watch the movie again, just with that mindset when I watch it. You're watching Ferris's, 12,000th day that he's actually reliving it, and everything's going perfect. That's a pretty cool idea. Critics only gave this an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it broke 92. It broke 92% with fans, which I feel like is a much more correct number for that movie, because it's also the same as number 2. The fan vote on Rotten Tomatoes for The Breakfast Club is at 92%. The critics give it 89%, and apparently Troy is wrong about this one because
no, everybody else is wrong about this one.
No, man, this movie is so good. This was like the first movie I could think of that takes 5 completely different people and forces them together. Like all the other movies, you're like, why are these people friends? Like, why are these people hanging out? But like they were forced together.
Oh my God, get the entire fuck out of here. First of all, these are all 5 of the same fucking people. They're middle-class white narcissists who all ended up in that room together because they did something horrible to somebody else in their high school. And you're supposed to tell me that over one day of like talking about their feelings and being like, hell, we're not so different after all, guys, that like everybody's going to sing some kumbaya shit and like we're all friends now. No, what happens is you have 4 people who are like real narcissists, and they manipulate the nerd into doing nerd shit, writing an essay, while they basically just have like a fucking sex orgy with people that they're not even going to talk to on Monday morning. Like, so really, who learned what? Like, get the fuck out of here. This is like one of the most insulting movies I think I've ever seen. And I used to love it when I was like 18. I was like, oh, these kids are badass, such rebels. No, these kids are fucking assholes. They will be assholes. They will die assholes. Like those kids are terrible. They're irredeemable. And the only person I actually like in the movie and have sympathy with today is the principal.
Damn straight.
And Mr. Vernon. The reason I love the principal is because like he is so fed up with John Bender. Because he has seen John Bender 15, 20 straight years. Because every year a new John Bender comes in. Because John Bender is the archetype of a douchebag. I would argue that there are no real characters in the Breakfast Club. They're all just kind of like types of people that like are not inhabited by real people, and that nobody learned anything. On Monday morning, Molly Ringwald doesn't talk to John Bender when she's in front of all her popular friends. Emilio Estevez probably goes back to terrorizing the kids whose butt cheeks he taped together. And Ali Sheedy is like floating off in the netherworld. Meanwhile, like Anthony Michael Hall, he's probably like an investment banker somewhere today. But like,
I heard he's Tommy Doyle now, but that's just rumor that I heard. Jason didn't like my joke. Man, here's the thing. Like, you make me want to go watch The Breakfast Club again, but not for any of the reasons you said, because I do still love this movie. And I agree with you that all those people went their separate ways and weren't friends anymore. But, like, you got that one day, that one moment where they actually opened up to seeing how other people were in the world and seeing other. I mean, do you know what Christmas is like at the Bender family? I mean, now I do, because I spent one day with him.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm not saying that those characters had their lives changed by that day, but I got to watch what happened as a viewer.
I like your outside the box thinking for this movie, Troy. I will disagree. I'm still on I enjoyed this movie train with Shane.
Yeah,
it's all a bunch of white kids feeling sorry for themselves.
Well,
I'm sorry.
But that's what Illinois was in the 80s.
That's where I was going to go. This is white suburbia. This is white suburbia, and this is what was going on at that point in time.
I know that generational malaise of just having generational wealth. It just sets inside you this privilege to just feel like you can bleed your fucking depression and your bullshit all over everybody.
And this is why you hate John Hughes, isn't it?
At least there were really good Smith songs, like that Simple Minds song. That's good. I'm happy that got an outlet into the world. I'm sorry that it's synonymous with John Bender's silhouette, raising a fist like he did something more than just pork the popular girl. Fuck this guy.
So the pot smoking scene, and montage. How did you feel about that?
Oh man, I still love the part where he's "Impossible, sir. It's in Johnson's underpants." That's one of my favorite lines. I love using that for any time. Anytime I can slide that in, even if it's a non sequitur. It's what would you do if your dope was on fire?
All right, so the third most vote getting was Weird Science, which I know we've talked about before in some other aspects. It's a lot of fun, but it's different. It's weird.
Oh, it's very dated.
Great fucking movie. So good.
Sell me on this one, man. I'm surprised that you like this one.
2 words.
Go for it.
Bill Paxton.
Oh, well, okay.
Fucking dominates every scene he's in as Chet.
He does. Yep.
Dude, buttwad. What a fucking clown. I love him.
Would you cover yourself?
Yeah. What an absolute piece of shit. But what an entertaining, fantastic,
very entertaining character.
Yeah.
But as far as the main trio goes, it's a weird movie. And I'm not punning on Weird Science. I'm just saying the overall feeling of the movie is very weird. The whole plot and how they create her and then what they do with her. I grew up loving it, but the last time I watched it, I was just kind of I don't love this as much as I remember loving it.
Oh yeah. It's problematic as hell. I mean, it's, the idea that it takes a man to create the perfect woman is just a thing that we don't have enough time to go into today. but let's we'll move on from that.
Mayor, you got thoughts on it?
Yeah, the Bill Paxton aspect of it. So watching the movies that made us on Netflix, I was watching the Aliens episode, and they were talking about how Bill Paxton literally came up with James Cameron from the Roger Corman school.
Oh yeah,
production company, but they were this is basically a school for people to get into filmmaking, and how he was literally just somebody who just went in and chewed the scenery every time he was on the screen.
Yeah,
and you know what? His characters in almost every movie he's in are completely memorable. I'll even you think he's got that small bit in Terminator at the very beginning, but it's still
very memorable.
Once you recognize him, yeah. Then you've got Weird Science. You've got Aliens.
I really loved him in Twister.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
It's the whole movie is basically just him kind of yelling at Helen Hunt about the most obvious shit. And he's "We got a tornado in front of us." So I'm yes. 2 eyes, got it, bud.
What was the other one though that I was thinking of? Club Dread. He's fantastic.
Oh god,
yeah, he's so good in Club Dread. Yeah, man, we could have turned this into a Bill Paxton appreciation pod. I'm totally fine with that.
It's such a shame we lost him way too early. So.
Oh yeah, very very much so. A lot of people for a long time hated the fact that I loved Club Dread. Just to tangent off that, I love Club Dread.
Really off Is Bill Coleman still alive?
Yes.
Okay, good. As long as we got one of those guys, we're good.
Yep.
But yeah, Weird Science is a silly, funny, weird movie that I remember seeing it a lot when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
It was either on HBO or my brothers were watching our pirated copy all the time. And you know, like the scene when they all go into the bar together is great.
Oh yeah, man, the chicks cannot hold the smoke. That's the problem.
But yeah, like it's
what was so great about 80s movies and getting teenagers into bars without it being a problem at all? Like
wasn't that
they ran that same play in Adventures in Babysitting too.
They did. Yes, they did.
You just stumble in the back door and you have to sing the blues, bro. Like, like there were no rules in the 80s. Like,
wasn't that written by John Hughes? Like, it feels like it should have been.
It feels like it was, yeah.
It feels like it should have been. I don't think it was, though, because I don't remember seeing it come up. Yeah, I don't remember it coming up when I did our list this week. All right, number 4.
Oh, you know who was in that movie? You know who was in Adventures in Babysitting?
A lot of people. Was he? Who was he in Adventures in Babysitting?
He was the wasn't he the fucking tow truck driver? Or no, wait, no. It was Vincent D'Onofrio. My bad.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. Cool. Yeah.
That's on me.
Cool. Number 4, vote getting one is one I need to watch more often, because especially when I do my like holiday movies, like I always forget about this one at Thanksgiving time. Is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Troy?
I've not seen that movie since I was like a child.
Okay. Jason? Never seen it. Oh man. I probably haven't watched it in like 10 years. But it's one that's it's a road trip movie. It's the same buddy cop dynamic of, you know, two polar opposite characters being forced together in a very similar to Home Alone way, where they have to travel across the country via multiple forms of transportation because they're trying to fly to Chicago. Their plane gets diverted to Kansas because of a blizzard, and then they have to like rent a car and ride in the back of a truck, and they take a train for a while, but the train breaks down. Like everything they're trying to do to both get back to Chicago, and then they like don't like each other, so they're kind of trying to one up each other the whole time, and like it got really good reviews at 92% for critics and 87% for the audience. I don't know if I like it that much, but when I was doing all this research the last couple of days, I was like, I'm definitely going to watch that movie in the next 2 weeks because, like I said, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I want to see how much I like it now. But Troy, you said you haven't seen it in a long time either?
Oh, no, I probably haven't seen that movie since it was on like Channel 4 when I was like 12.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's been on forever.
The way you just described those two trying to ride together would be like if I got to hang out with Troy and Shane while we were trying to do poker, because you would constantly just try to one up each other the entire time. So.
Our poker days were pretty epic. We would get into it.
But anyway,
I disavow all knowledge. I don't remember anything. Did we play poker?
We did. We
need to steal some of Troy's money sometime soon.
Yeah, we need to make that happen again. All right, so number 5 on the list. Another very critics and audiences were about the same on this one. 84%, 85% is 16 Candles, which is a good movie. I don't love it like a lot of people love it. Also, probably because I had an ex-girlfriend like 20 years ago that loved this movie with an undying passion. So I unfortunately this movie is like glued to her in my life, and I kind of don't like that. But it's not a bad movie. I have bad baggage with this movie. You guys, feelings that have nothing to do with girlfriends. How do you like the movie?
Oh, I hate that movie.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I can't wait for this speech. Bring it on again, Breakfast Club style.
There's no okay. If I argue that there's nobody to root for in that movie, I literally hate everybody. Like, fucking, it's racist because the way they treat the Long Duck Dong character as like just one running Asian joke is problematic to say the least.
I can agree that it probably did not age well. I haven't watched the movie in a long time because I have so much terribleness associated with it. But
even like if you think of this as kind of like a companion piece to like a Pretty in Pink or whatever, like the Anthony Michael Hall character, who would be like your Ducky character or whatever, is such a shit bag. He's such a large piece of shit that like you can't root for him. And so you're stuck almost like weirdly rooting for like the fucking yuppie like boy toy, like Jake or whatever his name is, I think. But like the thing is, that guy has no fucking personality whatsoever. So it's like you're rooting for this girl to get this like empty thing, this like empty vessel of like a fake Prince Charming, because all her other options in the movie are so shitty. And I'm like, what are you telling me about Shermer, Illinois? That it's filled with just the most shitty fucking people, and that only like the vapid people who like aren't even capable of like forming cohesive thought or like ideas, like those are the people who get rewarded with things. I'm like, come on, man. The only hero in 16 Candles is the dad. That dad is fucking awesome.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
The last John Hughes movie that actually got votes and got the fewest number of votes was Uncle Buck.
Oh, I love that movie.
The movie's a lot of fun.
Dude, Uncle Buck, John Candy was a fucking genius. That guy was so good.
John Candy was an amazing genius. Oh, and Jason, I'm sure you know it's John Candy and Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, okay. So yeah, those two alone make the movie worth watching. Their performances are amazing. But yeah, John Candy and Macaulay Culkin in this movie, such great chemistry.
Oh yeah, no, I mean John Candy with all the kids in that movie, just fantastic, like super funny. Who's his love interest? Like she's great. Had the real like throaty voice. I can't think of her name, like redhead. But she's fantastic.
Gotcha.
It's like when you say the words Uncle Buck to me, I can vividly remember him making that like pancake that's the size of like a small round like dining room table. Like, and it still makes me laugh like to this day. Like,
so I've never seen Uncle Buck.
What?
Oh, Laurie Metcalf was in it, who was also in Roseanne, and Scream too.
Yep.
And Amy Madigan.
Yes,
Amy Madigan from Field of Dreams.
In that movie, man.
Yep.
So there you
Bro,
go.
You got to watch Uncle Buck. Dude, show your kids Uncle Buck.
That's a really good ass movie.
Yeah.
It's way better than The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles. I'll tell you that.
I disagree with your statement. But Jason, I would put it on your list to watch soon. I think it's worth your time. I would imagine it has held up. I can't remember the last time I saw the movie, but I imagine it's held up. Can't think of anything in it that was problematic that I can think of. So we had two movies that John Hughes directed that did not get any votes, that anybody liked them. Excuse me, and it's understandable. She's Having a Baby was kind of dumb and pretty lame. Kevin Bacon.
Ali Sheedy?
Is that who? No, it's some chick I don't even know. Like it's a nobody chick.
It's Elizabeth Perkins.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
I actually like She's Having a Baby. I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, it's dramatic.
It's not Elizabeth. It's Elizabeth McGovern.
Elizabeth McGovern. Okay, yeah.
There we go. That makes more sense to me. Yeah, because I know who Elizabeth Perkins is. I don't know anything else Elizabeth McGovern is doing.
So,
but you actually liked She's Having a Baby. Like I thought the end was so fucking dumb. Like,
I mean, I like it because it like presents like a choice in a weird way. Like it's about growing up in a way. Like because Kevin Bacon kind of has to choose between like his career and his life in a way,
right?
And like, at least insofar as John Hughes movies, at least like he's confronting the idea of adults making adult choices as opposed to like teenagers finding like a fucking place for their misspent rebellion.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying. Okay, let's see. That's 88, 87. Yeah. I was trying to think if maybe She's Having a Baby was his first like adult movie, but he did do Planes, Trains, and Automobiles before that. So, yeah. Well, I mean, I can see what you're saying. That definitely it may have been him trying to grow up and maybe not necessarily
like
do
Planes,
another.
Trains, and Automobiles. While I would say it's a movie with adults in it.
Well, it's very childish. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like saying that like Dumb and Dumber is an adult movie. I'm like, no, it just has people who are of age.
Okay, that's a good point. So story wise, plot content, that probably was his first like adult foray.
I feel like that was his first foray into like straight drama.
Okay, sure. Yep.
Like where it wasn't like underpinned with like humor.
I can believe that. His last directorial debut, which I mean, like, it's kind of sad that this is the last film that he directed, because it's not a good way to send off your career, especially since he worked for 20 more years after this, but was 30 years after this. No, 20 years after this. Was Curly Sue. Sorry, my brain wasn't doing math right for a while. Curly Sue, which I don't even remember liking it when I was a kid, so I can't imagine that I would go back now and enjoy this movie. The critics gave it a 13%.
Yeah, I hate Jim Belushi, so I think I was out from the Jump Street.
Gotcha. Like, and again, like it's. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I remember seeing this movie in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anything about the movie. I just remember that I saw it while my dad was running the projection booth at the theater on Post. And the only thing I have to fun side note is the girl who played Curly Sue ended up on The Voice like 5-6 years ago or something like that. Yeah, and she made it pretty far on Christina Aguilera's team. Like, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But like, that's the only little information that I have about this movie that I even kind of care about. It's so it is what it is.
Yeah.
If you would have been on Adam Levine's team, I would have been there. But sorry.
Yeah, it's an attempt at a heartfelt movie with comedy in it, and it was very blah to me. I didn't really care about any of the characters. I don't hate Jim Belushi, but
no, he sucked.
But I don't love him either. So
the apple fell really far from the tree on that one.
Side note, since we're talking about the Belushis,
yeah, let's do it.
So I think I mentioned it to you last week, Shane, when we were talking. I took my oldest to see Ghostbusters.
Yep. On
the big screen. And to think of the fact that Bill Murray's character was literally actually supposed to be Jim Belushi. Was it Jim? Yeah.
Yes, it was supposed to be Jim.
It was supposed to be Jim Belushi. But like the entire time watching that movie and how he's acting, I'm like, I could totally see Jim Belushi playing this exact same character, just delivering it Jim Belushi style.
Sure.
But yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting to look at it from that light. So.
Very much so. It's like thinking about watching Shrek and hearing Chris Farley's voice instead of Michael Myers.
Would Chris Farley have done the accent? Like,
I can't remember the answer to your question. If you go to YouTube, you can. They've released one hand-drawn cinematic where Chris Farley was doing voice testing for it. So you can hear the voice at that time that they did this, what he was planning to use. I think there was a slight accent, but not what ended up becoming Shrek. But yeah, you can find that video on YouTube.
Shrek in a van down by the river. I actually probably like that better.
All right.
Man in a little
oh my god. Yeah, if you guys ever want to just have a straight Tommy Boy episode, I can talk about Tommy Boy longer than the actual movie Tommy Boy is.
Well, I feel like if the three of us ever get back together, I need to be allowed to join in on the Saved by the Bell conversation that I was left out of 20 years ago.
Oh shit, dog. Like, let's go. Like, let's go. Yeah, anytime.
I got my Bayside Tigers t-shirt I can wear. Like, we can all role play when we do it.
I'm just not Screech. I'll be Belding before I'm Screech. So
Word.
Same. I'll just be Max.
Oh, nice.
Shane can live the dream and be Zach.
I can. I will dye my hair blonde again. I will coif it out. I'm in. I'll shave for that even. Speaking of Saved by the Bell, like I absolutely have been loving the Zach to the Future podcast. Like that's been a blast to listen to. Mark Paul Gosselaar is going back and watching one episode a week because he doesn't remember like ever seeing the show. So he goes back and watches one episode a week and then talks to another guy about the episode. It's a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. John Hughes wrote a lot of shit. Like I said, I think he's got like 78 or 87 writing credits on things. Obviously, a few of the things later in his career were like, based on characters by John Hughes or whatever. So that's kind of some bullshit writing credits or whatever. Like I think all of the Beethoven sequels are that way. Actually, Jason just brought up to me, didn't you say the first Beethoven movie he went by Edmond Dantes?
Yeah. That was the first time he ever went by Edmond Dantes.
Cool. So. But he did have some really good stuff in the 80s that we can talk about. Mr. Mom and National Lampoon's Vacation. You guys got any feelings on those two movies?
I love Mr. Mom. That's a great movie.
I haven't seen that one in forever. But I remember liking it. And National Lampoon's Vacation, that first one, man, it's literally, if you've ever taken a road trip with a family, you completely relate to it all the way around. Yeah. So even, accidentally killing a dog and then, dropping off the corpse of your aunt, it's totally okay. So
sure.
I feel like all the National Lampoon's Vacation movies are just like one large movie in my head, if that makes sense. And so when you say the first one, I'm like, is that Big Ben Parliament? And I'm like, nope, that's European Vacation. And I'm just like, I couldn't even tell you what's in the first one. Isn't that the one? That's the one where they go to Wally World.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Christy Brinkley. All right.
Yep. The first time, Christy Brinkley.
Yeah. Yep.
Jesus. Yeah. Fuck. See, exactly. It's all one big movie.
I do have to say that
Chase and a revolving wife/children.
No, it's just children. It was always
Beverly D'Angelo was in every one of the movies.
Oh God.
I will say that while Vegas Vacation is probably the worst one out of that series, I still really enjoy certain aspects of that movie. Like Ethan Embry playing the son. Rusty. Oh, dude, him as Rusty is awesome. And then
I think
him
he might be the best.
Being Nick Papa Giorgio. That's what it was. It's Mr. Papa Giorgio. It's just kind of fun. So,
Troy, you said you love Mr. Mom. What about Mr. Mom brings you in?
Michael Keaton.
Just the whole performance.
Dude, he's fantastic in that movie. Yeah, no, I mean Michael Keaton is always 100 for me. But that's a really clever, well-written movie. I probably haven't seen that movie in a decade, so I can't really tell you plot points. But every time I think about Mr. Mom, I'm like, yeah, that's a good. I have this list that I keep with my friend Clayton about Channel 4 movies.
Okay,
they're the movies that I don't know, when we were kids, they were how Fox 59 and Channel 4 would always show just Saturday. 3 movies on a Saturday or Sunday.
Okay. Yep.
And they'd start around noon.
Feds.
It'd be the noon movie, the 2 movie, and the 4 movie. And it was always the same 12 movies, it seemed like.
All right.
Do you remember Feds?
Oh yeah, with Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Or no, Feds is the one with the 2 chicks,
the 2 girls. Rebecca De Mornay and the other one. Yeah,
the little short brunette girl.
Yeah,
where they went to the FBI Academy. Yeah. No, I totally love that movie. That's a great pull for that. Yeah.
Always
that
on.
Movie was on
always
every
on
other weekend. Yeah. Iron Eagle was always on.
So we touched on European Vacation a little bit. Yeah, pretty not. I mean, the movie's fine. It's whatever. But then we got Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful, which I'm a big fan of. Some Kind of Wonderful. I think it's a lot of fun.
Which one is Some Kind of Wonderful?
Some Kind of Wonderful is the one with Eric Stoltz and Mary Stuart Masterson. And I can't remember who the girl is.
It's
Oh, is this the one with the like? She's a blonde and she's got short hair and she like drives.
Yeah. She drives them around.
Yep.
In the limo during the night, and like he's secretly in love with her or whatever. You know.
Yep. I remember this one now.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. I think it's a lot of fun.
I liked that one a lot. Like, I always remember it whenever I watched that movie in high school. I always like identified more with the Mary Stuart Masterson character than like
really
else. Yeah, no, dude. Like,
okay,
totally that. I always felt like the fucking like best friend who was like, "Don't date that person. They're not right for you." Also, a really good performance by Elias Koteas.
Oh, okay, yeah, for sure.
As like the guy he meets in detention, like that. Really great, top notch shit from that guy.
Good.
I was just gonna say your next movie on this list is one that when I saw it when it came out in '89, like this was or '88. Sorry,
did we just gloss over Pretty in Pink?
We did.
My fault.
That's okay. I was gonna say that Troy brought it up earlier. I didn't know if he had more that he wanted to say about it.
I didn't know Pretty in Pink was written by him.
It was. Somebody forgot to put it on the original list that he sent out to you guys.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, you're good. Yeah, Pretty in Pink was also John Hughes.
Pretty in Pink is probably like my favorite John Hughes. Like,
okay.
It's the only one that I think like ends wrong, but I still can accept.
Because of who she picks?
Yeah, because it had to be Ducky. Ducky was like 100% like I show up for you every day. And
John Cryer was great.
John Cryer was fantastic. Like
he was so great.
Good. The music in that movie was like fantastic. Like the actual title track, Pretty in Pink by the Psychedelic Furs is such a great song. You know, the fact that John Hughes kind of broke the Smiths in America is like a really like that's like an important thing to me. Just having like the Cure songs in that shit when, you know, the rest of the fucking country was listening to Poison, like matters. James Spader.
Yeah.
Fucking incredible in that movie. I feel like that's like the original James Spader role.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, every time, like the thing is, man, like every time I saw James Spader after that, I was just convinced. I was like, oh no, he's playing James Spader again. Like James Spader's just a fucking weird asshole.
Yep.
And Blaine. Blaine is not a name. It's a major appliance. Such a fucking great line.
Dave Lichty always swore that this movie, like you said, because they get it wrong at the end. Apparently it was written the other way, and then when they did all the screen tests, they ended up flipping it to go to the ending. That
really?
Yeah.
Like I believe like Pretty in Pink probably led to more like divorces than almost any movie like of its ilk. Like I would love to know if like 10 years later the divorce rate in the country just like spiked because like the wrong people were hooking up for the wrong reasons. Because it had to be Ducky. It should have been Ducky, and it would have been successful for life with Ducky.
I still think it's pretty successful. I think a lot of people really love it.
No, the movie's successful. The movie's great.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like
relationship-wise.
Kind of the same way that I have the reading on The Breakfast Club is like my reading is always like, what happens Monday morning?
Sure.
You know what I mean? And cynically, I believe all those people revert to their normal behaviors.
I agree with your assessment.
Yeah. And so like, I kind of believe the same thing with like Pretty in Pink. I'm like, Blaine goes to college. Yeah. And he probably goes to some like, you know, if he doesn't stay home and go to like Northwestern, he ends up going to like Stanford or like some like real blue blood college. And it's just like, at the end of the day, like, Molly Ringwald is still Harry Dean Stanton's daughter in that movie.
Yeah.
Harry Dean Stanton is fucking incredible. Like, let's get that out there too.
Fact.
Another reason that I love that movie immensely. But those people don't end up together. Those
Agreed.
people don't, like, they don't survive college. Like, they're just too different. They come from two different worlds. Like, it just doesn't, like, I don't believe in shit like that. And so the fact that John Hughes consistently tries to get me to believe in shit like that is, like, really, like, my exit point with him.
Okay. So we will
I find
move on.
it much more easy to believe that everything worked out for Ferris Bueller and that he was able to do like 14 hours of activities in like 6 hours than I believe that like John Bender and Claire, the future fat girl, hooked up at the end of fucking Breakfast Club.
I can definitely buy that. So we will now move on to the 1988 film that Jason jumped ahead to, which I have some pretty immense feelings about recent news with this movie. But The Great Outdoors is a blast.
Dude, I
love that movie.
The whole thing is fun for me from beginning to end, but then like the one-liners that you can always remember from that film, even like when they go to the steakhouse and there's nothing on that but grizzle and fat, and the guy's just sitting there smiling at him, and he's just like, John Candy's like scared and trying to figure out if he can actually eat it or not. It's a very silly and fun movie. Him freaking out about the bear at the end of the film, like it's just it hit me right for, you know, I was 7 when this came out and I saw it in theaters. Lots of fun for me. So
yeah, I remember seeing this movie in the theaters too. Like, hot dogs are made of lips and assholes. It's like the one thing I remember from this movie. Like, and what a shitbag Dan Aykroyd was. And
what was the argument from the daughter that was like, shit, a brick? And he was like, hey, we don't use that language. It's like, oh, my fault. A rock. Good night, buddy.
Yeah. So the news that despite the fact that the writer of this film has passed away, and the fact that the lead actor of this film has passed away, some Hollywood jackass thinks it is a good idea to make a sequel to that movie now. Why? Troy, your face says it all. Like, literally, what the fuck is that? What are they trying to do?
Hollywood doesn't have any new ideas.
Agree, 100% agree.
And anybody who can actually writes for television.
That's a fact too.
Or, you know, just writes, you know, writing shit.
Yeah.
And it's really just like, and movies, like, I mean, honestly, dude, like, fuck, I mean, living through the last 20 years, like, movies just don't fucking matter anymore.
Yep.
Honestly, like, it's kind of like anything else. Like, when you're not getting the A+ talent, which they're not getting the A+ writing talent, they're not getting the A+ like show running talent, they're not getting the A+ like directors or anything like that, all you're going to get is like retreads. Like, and that's just kind of where movies are right now. It's like they're just, you know, it's like we've got this one, we've got this character from this other movie, let's just go do this other thing.
But they, like, okay, I mean, cool. This is always the cyclical form of things, because they said cinema was dying in the 70s because it was treading all over the same stuff again and again and again. And so you had and TV was huge at that point in time. And then the reverse happened. Everybody went, oh, well, let's go to movies because we can. Well, and then,
I mean, if you look at like the 70s in America, like, filmmaking changed. Like, there was like a period in like the like 60s and like the late 60s and early 70s where like American film had gotten really stale, and they were just kind of like pumping out the same sort of like roadshow musicals that had already been popular for the past like however many years, and they just weren't popping anymore because Technicolor, you could get that in your home now. Like it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like the like advent of color television took away a lot of like what movies had to offer at that point. And so like the people that were really passionate about cinema, like they had to like go and find like different things and different like modes of storytelling, which is how you ended up with like that generation of filmmakers like Spielberg and like Francis Ford Coppola and things like that. It was all a reaction of like, it was all a reaction to the idea that like they couldn't just depend on like the, I guess like visual fireworks of Technicolor anymore, because people could get that in their house. You know what I mean? Like All in the Family, the Jeffersons, that shit was in color, you know? Yeah. So I could just stay home and watch this shit. So what do you have to do new? And so like, the thing is like, I feel like this particular cycle or downturn of American cinema is like, I don't feel like there's any clamor for anybody to do anything new, because weirdly, like, even though the system is broken, like artistically, like financially, it's not.
Well, yeah, that's true.
People still go watch Marvel movies. Yep. And so, you know, until people start choosing to like tune out to the things that like Hollywood is like throwing out to them, like Hollywood's not going to change. And so you're always just going to be watching like sequels and retreads and remakes and extended universes. And it's just like, all right, cool.
That you're not wrong about that. That's yeah.
We could see something different. We didn't, you know.
But see, that's the thing. Like now it's so much easier and you get so much more freedom and you get so much more like just, you know, like to just do like a 6-episode series for like Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or whomever, you know. It's like there's no there, you know, it's like if you pay attention, over the past like few years, like I've noticed that like people were like lamenting the death of the rom-com and how they just don't make those. And I'm like, they just don't get released to theaters. It's like if you watch
just on Hallmark.
It's Netflix. Like Netflix comes out with like a new rom-com damn near every fucking week. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, these are the type of movies that should be in the theater. Like I just watched the one Love Hard with old Nina Dobrev.
That's on my watch list.
There is no fucking reason that I should have watched a Kate Hudson movie in the movie theater and not that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only because like space.
What's the one that the Asian one?
Oh my God.
Always Be My Maybe.
Always Be My Maybe. That movie was fucking awesome. Keanu Reeves.
A lot of fun.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves is in this movie?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Playing Keanu Reeves. And he's fucking incredible.
Well, I'm gonna have to add this to my watch list and check this out.
Watch that one,
yeah, it's the guy who was in he's the FBI agent in the Ant-Man movies.
Oh, Randall Park.
Yeah, and he was in WandaVision or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, he's the main character in this movie.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun and entertaining.
So it's a really good movie.
I love that tangent we just went on because, cinema kind of sucks right now. I do watch a lot of awesome stuff on TV, but
it's just like the economic model. Like until the economic model starts failing, there's no reason for them to change what they're putting out there.
That is true.
So it's like if you want something different, quit going to fucking see the shit. Quit going to see Marvel Eternals. I don't even know if that's in the theaters. Like, I don't know.
It is. And actually, we can address that real quick. Jason and I missed doing an episode last week because our normal time that we record, we happened to get invited to a screening of the Eternals at that time. So we decided to not do an episode last week and instead go watch the Eternals. And it was 3 hours of pretty blah Marvel content.
Some people blowing like laser beams out of their ass to save the world. Pretty
awesome.
Much,
yeah.
Yeah. It's
some pretty boring character development.
Superpowers, right?
I mean, like, they've got
there can't be
100 years of comics.
It's like helpful.
Well, I mean, we'll see how far they take this. But Marvel is I'm not holding Marvel to the same standard that I did 10 years ago. They're going down, in my opinion.
3 years ago. You're not holding them to the same standard 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Endgame was a great way to tie up that entire first section of films, but then everything after that. I enjoyed Shang-Chi. I know you didn't, but Black Widow wasn't that good. Eternals wasn't that good. And I'm just hoping Spider-Man will be good. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Going back to
that pisses me off the most about the Marvel movies is like they really do have like so much prime talent kind of like locked into these things. Like I watched a great movie on Netflix the other day called Begin Again. It's got Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley.
Oh yeah, and one of my all-time favorite movies.
And I was watching what's that?
It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I love it.
I love that movie. Like I got really into like I mean like that movie made me like Adam Levine. Like I was just like, oh, I love this guy now. Like Dave Cole, that's my guy. But no, like I was watching Ruffalo chew scenery in that movie, and I was like, they waste this fucking guy being the Incredible Hulk. Like this guy should never be a superhero. This guy should only be like down on his luck, borderline alcoholic guy, because that's what he fucking does. That's what he's always done, and he's amazing at it.
Have you ever seen the movie You Can Count on Me?
Oh yeah, that was the first time I ever saw him. I was just like, dude, this guy is mesmerizing. Like, I honestly like. I think if anybody ever made an actual movie about my life, like Mark Ruffalo would be like the perfect person to play me, because he's just like he's always on the borderline of like disheveled. He's always like making points, but he's also seems like he could go off at any minute.
Okay, I feel like I'm going to instantly regret asking this, but in this Mark Ruffalo Troy biopic, cast Jason and me.
Oh shit. Man, that's really hard. I never think about who the other people would be played by in my life story. It's just me. Man.
Come on, man! Like I got to show up at some point. We got to play poker together. Who plays me and Jason?
Give me a second. Let me see.
Understandable. And no matter who you say, I'm gonna be sad and offended, so it's fine.
Like, I don't know that this person would be like a good person to play Jason, but like I definitely want the type. And it's when I say Steve Carell.
Oh
no, it's not the Steve Carell from like The Office. It's like the Steve Carell like from like Dan in Real Life, or like what's the one that he did with Ryan Gosling that was really fucking good?
Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah, Crazy Stupid Love. Like that Steve Carell.
I wrote this down because I
Seth
thought
Rogen.
That's where you were going to go.
See, but Seth Rogen, like you can maybe like look like Seth Rogen, maybe, but like Seth Rogen is an asshole in a way that you are not, Mayor.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And like if you watch these Steve Carell movies, like I love Dan in Real Life. That's like one of my like 10 favorite movies of the 90s. Or of the 2000s. I loved Crazy Stupid Love. And when you watch Steve Carell in those movies, like there's like this like real sense of like humanity and like empathy that I feel like really like comes out of you, Mayor, most of the time. Like,
well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
No, I mean, you should definitely take it as a compliment. Shane, that's a harder turn. Cause like I know you're a good guy at heart, but like you kind of have like a little shitbag in you, like a Bradley Cooper in like The Hangover.
Oh, see, that's who I'd pick. Oh, you can't fucking tell it's Brad Pitt.
Oh, I knew you were going to go there. Matthew Lillard is my thing for you, Shane.
Oh, that's who I actually should have pulled up. Yeah.
Ooh, I can buy Matthew Lillard. He's got a little bit of that Bradley Cooper shitbag in him, but he's like generally a nice guy.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's somebody I haven't thought about in like forever. Does he even still work in things?
He actually does TV now.
He's counting that Scooby-Doo money or some shit.
He was in the Twin Peaks reboot.
Oh god.
He did that TV show with Christina Hendrickson or whatever her name is from
Christina Hendricks. Yeah.
Hendricks. Yeah, where she's the Good Girls or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
He plays her husband.
Yeah. Of course, because nothing matches a broomstick quite like a fucking hourglass.
All right. Well, that was an awesome tangent. So let's jump back to 1989 or 1990 when we got back-to-back Christmas movies from John Hughes with Christmas Vacation and Home Alone. Either one of those in you guys' top films of either even holiday films? No.
Is there anything that can be said about those movies that
they're fantastic? All right, cool.
I mean, it's fine.
Home Alone is definitely better than Christmas Vacation for me personally. Christmas Vacation is fine, but I do not, that and A Christmas Story, I do not understand why people love those so much. I think they're fine movies. I just don't love them.
Man. So. I got to figure out what we're going to do for our Christmas episodes this year, and you're just not going to be fun at all. All right. 1990, we got Career Opportunities and Dutch, which I both kind of think are just pretty blah movies by him.
I'm actually down with both of those movies. Like,
really?
Career Opportunities was a total Channel 4 movie when I was a kid. Like, okay. I love that shit. I used to have the fattest crush on Jennifer Connelly.
Well, she is pretty hot in that movie. What is it? Frank Whaley?
Yeah, no, but like that movie is like a weird, like, that's the one where they get overnight in a Target, right?
Yes, yeah.
And there's that book, that kid's book where they get stuck in the like metropolitan, or two kids run away and try and live in like the museum or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the name of it, but like it always reminded me of that. And I just really love the whole vibe of Career Opportunities. Like,
I don't think I've ever seen that one, but Dutch is a lot of fun for somebody who watched Married with Children growing up and seeing
Ed O'Neill
trying to be a little bit nicer than Al Bundy.
Sure.
And then that's Ethan Embry too.
It is Ethan Embry.
So I feel like Dutch was kind of like that midpoint between Al Bundy and the guy that he would later play on Modern Family.
Okay.
Like, it's the one where you're like, oh, this guy's not like a hapless loser. He's just an okay guy.
I never watched Modern Family, but I loved a meme that somebody made that had a shot of Al Bundy reading a newspaper, and then they used the exact same newspaper on Modern Family. So like he's literally holding the exact same newspaper shot for shot. I thought that was pretty cool that they went that far to do that gag. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Beethoven and Home Alone 2 both came out in 1992. I don't understand. Like, you're a dog person, man. I like Beethoven a lot, the first one, and I love Charles Grodin. I think Charles Grodin is an amazing actor. I love a lot of the stuff I see him in. But like the comedy between him and that dog, and how like everybody else in the family loves it and he hates it, and like how the dog wins him over through the course of the plot of the movie. Like, okay, the evil veterinarian guy, not the most likable or believable character, like, but again, with all the other shit that he got away with in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and some of his other movies, like, I can take unbelievable characters, but like, I don't understand how you don't like Beethoven, man.
I just think it's blah. It's not like I hate it. It's not like if my kids wanted to watch it, I'd be like, no, you can't watch that shit. No, it's more like it's a throwaway kids movie, man. Like,
okay.
That's what it was to me, was like, it was never that entertaining. And going to Home Alone 2, man, like, can you talk about just literally going back to the well for the exact, like,
no, this one was in New York City.
Oh, yes. And it had Donald Trump in it too. So,
oh my God. Well, it had Tim Curry in it, who is literally like one of the scariest.
Like, barely any of it though.
That's not, I wouldn't say barely. I'd say he's got like a good 10 minutes of screen time.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's a major plot point.
I mean, I think he's like billed third or fourth. No, like fourth or fifth. Or maybe it's and Tim Curry. I don't know anymore. Troy, do either of those movies matter to you?
I don't really like Christmas movies all that much, and I don't really like dog movies. Like, I'm out on like Beethoven, Air Bud, all that shit. Like, if the main character in your movie is a dog,
mm-hmm.
and all the other characters are not dogs,
mm-hmm.
I'm out.
Okay.
I'm like hard out.
Interesting. So later on in his career, there wasn't a lot of stuff by John Hughes that I enjoyed. I'm going to list off like 6 movies that he did later in his career. See if you guys care or want to talk about any of them. If you don't, we don't need to bring them up at all. But we got Dennis the Menace, Baby's Day Out, Flubber, like the remake in the 90s, Home Alone 3, he actually wrote. Home Alone 4, he was only credited as characters by.
It's a Home Alone 4.
There is a Home Alone 4. There's also a Home Alone 5, and there's about to be a reboot on Disney Plus called Home for the Holidays Home Alone or some shit like that.
Home Alone for the Holidays.
Or Home Alone for the Holidays. Thank you. Yeah. In 1999, I believe it was, he did a movie called Reach the Rock, which I haven't seen. But when I read the plot and the character or the actors in it, I was like, I need to watch this movie. I remember
that. I remember having that soundtrack.
Okay, was it good?
It had like Tortoise and a bunch of like the Chicago like jazzy indie rock bands on it. And because I was like a super hipster.
And the last one was the Jean Reno Just Visiting film.
So the concept of a medieval person coming to current day times, it sounded like it could have been fun. I mean, but it was very poor on the execution. But if you look at the cast list for that, it's Malcolm McDowell, Jean Reno, Bridget Wilson, Tara Reid, Christina Applegate. Like it's got some hotties in it at least. So
Paradise, baby.
I mean, maybe I need to give it another shot. I know I watched it in the theater and I didn't like it at all when I saw it then.
You probably don't need to watch it ever again. Okay. I know I'm not planning on it. So
right on. The one last thing I wanted to talk about as far as John Hughes goes is obviously in Hollywood, there's a lot of projects that never get done. There's stuff that gets started, stuff that gets way along, and everything falls apart. John Hughes was attached to some pretty cool projects I found when I was doing research on him. I just want to mention them and the stuff I could find on him and see if any of them are movies you guys would actually be interested in having seen be completed. The first one is in 1979. He was working on a project called Jaws 3, People Zero. Kind of like a score thing, like it had like a colon between it, like it was 3 wins for Jaws, 0 for People. It was apparently supposed to be a spoof comedy on the Jaws franchise. Thought that sounded kind of funny. In 1991, what's that? Why not?
Why not? Is it directed by the guys who did Airplane? So I'm on board.
You cool?
I'm out on that.
You're out? All right.
Yeah, because John Hughes just would have had Jaws eat like all the characters that I like, and some like vapid bohunk would have like been the survivor of the day. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here, John Hughes.
In 1991, he was working on a movie called Bartholomew versus Neff, which is an insane names for 2 people, but it was going to star Sylvester Stallone and John Candy as neighbors who didn't get along.
Why not?
Why not? Okay. Troy? Candy and Stallone fighting?
I would have watched John Candy do just about anything. That's fine.
Okay. In 1993, Warner Brothers bought the rights to the Peanuts franchise, and they were planning to do a live action version. He was only going to write and produce it. I don't know who they were looking at for a director, but a script by John Hughes doing Peanuts.
And Shane would have loved every moment of that movie.
I mean,
no matter how bad.
Molly Ringwald was basically pulling the football out on fucking Charlie Brown throughout every fucking John Hughes movie. He might have been perfect for it.
And Jason, I'm torn. If John Hughes was going to do an animated Peanuts movie, I'm pretty sure you're 100% right. Like there would have been no wrong with that. I just can't fathom a live action Charlie Brown. Like,
you would have freaking loved it. You would have lapped that shit up. 1993 Shane would have loved the fuck out of that.
I hope I never find out.
Would like Vern Troyer be Charlie Brown? Because I always assume the Peanuts people are short.
I could have gone with that. That would have been all right.
Like, I can't imagine Charlie Brown being like a 6 foot tall drink of water who's just like bald.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just
no, man. John Hughes would have gotten Ethan Embry to be in this movie too.
Nah, Ethan Embry would have like been fucking Linus.
Yep, I can see that. I'm down.
His thumb and carrying his safety blanket, and like he would have ended up with like all the hottest chicks because fucking.
And he would have won an Oscar for it.
Yeah, because that's the John Hughes way, man. He's just like fuck the nerds.
So in 1998, John Hughes apparently was going around to all of the studios pitching How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which is funny because 2 years later, somebody actually released the Jim Carrey version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So I don't know what John Hughes had in getting that ball rolling or putting that in. Who did that? DreamWorks?
I think it's more of what John Hughes didn't have, which
Universal.
at that point in his career were like any more ideas.
Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. Peanuts. And then how the Grinch Stole Christmas. I can see that.
Peanuts, Flubber, Baby Day Out, like How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It's like he fell off a cliff. Like, let's just like he got addicted to cocaine or like had to pay some gambling debts or like he just started taking jobs for the money. Well, I don't know, but
that's addiction.
It's definitely the money stuff because I believe it was after 91, like the Curly Sue fiasco debacle and whatnot, that he moved back to Chicago around that time, I believe. And then he, I think that's when he just went to writing and not wanting to be in Hollywood. Like I wish I would have done enough research to find out if there was a story or anything about what led to all that. But
I mean, it was clear he was writing for the money at the end.
Oh, for sure. So the last one was in 2003. He pitched a movie called Grigsby's Go Broke, which is about a wealthy family who lose their fortune, and it forces them to move to the other side of the tracks during Christmas. I always loved John Hughes because of all of his Christmas connections. But this literally, honestly, when I read it, sounds like what may have eventually led to the TV series Schitt's Creek, because kind of the same plot about a rich family, losing everything and having to live the poor life. Would you guys have watched well, you guys both don't like Christmas movies, so you probably would have been out on this one.
You say that. I have no problems with Christmas movies, Shane. What's your
favorite Christmas movie?
I'm nowhere near as excited about them as you.
What's your favorite Christmas movie?
My favorite Christmas movie is Serendipity.
See, but I can't even consider that a Christmas movie because Christmas is at the beginning and the end, but there's a whole lot of middle movie that has nothing to do with Christmas. Okay. Literally doesn't take place at Christmas time.
It does have things that take place at Christmas time.
Yes, the beginning and the end.
Movie. It's a Christmas movie.
All right, cool. Troy, do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
Yeah, Metropolitan by Whit Stillman.
I've not seen that. I'll have to watch that this year.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. I'll read the description of it and realize that it is also not a Christmas movie.
Well, it actually is a Christmas movie. There's it's about Ivy League kids on Christmas break in New York City during some random time in the 1980s.
Okay.
There's a scene where they sit around and watch the traditional Yule log on Christmas Eve.
Oh,
and it's a fantastic movie. It's not really about Christmas, but it does take place during Christmas.
During Christmas, okay.
It's more about like
that's enough.
Debutante's balls. And there was one year when.
Okay, I'll buy Love Actually.
There was one year when I watched the movie Metropolitan every day during December.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
And that was when I was really in the Christmas spirit.
Not so much anymore.
When I was like 22.
I was going to say, and he wore an ugly Christmas sweater that one year.
No. I'll never do that. That's not my jam.
Word. Well, we're a little over our hour mark, but this is probably the damn closest we've come to coming in close to an hour-ish on these episodes we've been trying to do now.
Which is funny because you totally forgot to mention Edmond Dantes. So,
well, all right, let's wrap that up with Edmond Dantes. Tell me all the movies that he is credited as Edmond Dantes.
So John Hughes decided to write under a nom de plume, and he wrote Beethoven was the first one he did. Beethoven's second, based on characters by. Third, based on fourth. Characters by. He did Made in Manhattan, the J-Lo and Ray Fiennes movie. Okay. It's actually not the worst movie in the world.
I remember liking it.
Drill Bit Taylor.
Oh, Drill Bit Taylor. Not a good movie.
Wow.
Oh my God. That's got one of my favorite jokes in it though.
Wow.
What is it?
There's that part where Owen Wilson is talking to the kids, right? And he's just like, y'all want to know martial arts? And he's like, do you know karate? He's like, do you know judo? And he's like, you don't know shit. It makes me so happy. every time. And so if John Hughes wrote that joke, like, I'll just let that be the thing that he went out with, and I'll try and forget all the other bad shit that he ended his career with.
What are you laughing at here?
No. I like that you're willing to give him a pass on all the other shit because of that joke.
I just assume that at some point, I like to think that John Hughes looked in the mirror, he had a total come to Jesus moment, and he looked at himself and he was like, man, you don't know shit.
Dude, it would be hilarious if it was something like he had been holding on to that joke for 20 years and then came to the point where he was like, fuck, this might be the last thing that I write. Like, I'm just going to put it in this movie. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just going to put it in this movie to make sure that it's out there so that 10 years later, Troy can love that joke still.
I mean, the thing is, like, when I go and do my oral history of Drillbit Taylor and the production of Drillbit Taylor, like, I'm sure Owen Wilson's going to be like, oh, I made that up on the spot. And I'll be like, damn, fuck John Hughes for real.
Oh, man. Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for being on this week. It was a blast getting to talk to you guys. Troy, it's always fun having you back. You are one more episode closer to Jason Richardson.
I mean, dude, invite me on any time. I will debunk all the myths of your favorite movies. I'll tell you why they are bad for society and why they got things horribly wrong.
Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed Troy's last time on the podcast. It's been a blast.
Why don't you just hit him with one of these on the way out, Shane? Signed The Breakfast Club.
I did that at my wedding. I don't remember if you remember that, but I definitely entered into our dinner part of the wedding to that song by the Simple Minds and raised my hand up. But yeah, I still, someday I'm hoping to get you, Jason Richardson, and Evan Miller on here to do a trivia episode. Maybe it'll be our first episode of 2022. We'll do the trivia episode then, but like, I got a lot of the trivia written. I'm really excited and stoked to have you guys come on here, play the game the way we've got the scoring figured out and whatnot. So definitely looking forward to having you come on for the trivia episode, if not before then.
It's like, when the principal looks at us, he sees a marathon runner, he sees an empath, he sees a drunk asshole. But that's not the way we see each other anymore, man. Signed, The Breakfast Club. Go fuck yourself, John Hughes.
We'll be back next week. Thank you, Troy.
Love you, Shane.